Hello, everyone. I am back with a very, mm, I have a lot to share. I was in India for we got back this past weekend, but for the 2 weeks before that, I was in India. And I feel like so much happened, so much so happened that I came back and got really sick. So you can hear that in my voice. I literally got the worst cold I have had in years. And I'm slowly getting better. It like hit really hard and then it's like subsiding, which is amazing because jet lag plus being super sick plus crazy congestion and not being able to breathe at night has made it very difficult to sleep and recover. But I definitely feel now like I'm on the up and up, but excuse my husky voice. I feel like so much happened in my trip to India. I was actually very hesitant to go for a variety of reasons. The main one being it's so far, the time difference compared to Austin, it's literally like 11 and a half hour time difference. So literal day to night. I was going because my husband's family was hosting this religious weekend. I feel like my husband's family is very religious. They're very strict in their religion and they have a lot of rules and they like to abide by these rules. And I feel like I've had certain brushes with his family and that if you don't abide by these rules, it causes issues. So I was also very hesitant because I was going to be spending a lot of time with his family and a lot of his family because his grandfather was hosting the specific prayer weekend at this temple that his grandfather's family owns. So leading up to this trip, I was super nervous, super anxious, but I felt intuitively that it was the right decision for me, that I needed to go. And I've talked about this before, especially in my last episode, that we don't grow when life is easy peasy. We grow through hardships. We grow through obstacles. We grow more into the person we came on this earth to be when we face challenges and when we overcome them. So going into this trip, I already knew that human Ashna, not intuitive Ashna, really didn't want to go because she knew it was going to be difficult. And I mean, even without any of the other added stresses, adjusting to the time difference is such a thing. But I followed the advice of my cousin this time, because I was texting her as soon as I landed, I'm like, oh, I'm so stressed about not being able to sleep. And my cousin was just like, enjoy the time difference. You know it's going to be tough. So why don't you enjoy it and surrender to it and relax into it versus resisting it? And guys, like, I have never adjusted to the time difference as fast as I did this trip. I am still shocked at how fast I was sleeping through the night and I was waking up a bit. So I'm not going to lie and say, it was like 100% immediate, but still for me to like stay awake all day and sleep through the night, literally with an 11 and a half hour time difference from here, from Austin, from my home country, my home city, was absolutely wild. So, with this beautiful setup, clearly I learned a lot of lessons. A lot happened across my trip. But the biggest thing that I want to talk about that I came away from this trip was being so proud of myself for being a cycle breaker. And this is kind of related to this, and I'll go into what I mean by being a cycle breaker. But for such a long time, I felt like there were parts of me that I didn't like. And I feel like this happens to a lot of people, right? We love our good parts. There are parts of ourselves, maybe it's our jealousy, our anger, our I don't know, our envy, our like sadness, our dissatisfaction. There's parts of ourselves that we often hide from. But I have been on this journey to accept and love every part of myself. I don't know if you guys know about this concept of the shadow self, but to me, our shadow selves encompass all of these qualities, traits, emotions, feelings that we wish we didn't have. Like I wish I didn't get jealous of other people. I wish I didn't have so much self doubt. I wish I was confident all the time. And I spent many, 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 many years hiding those parts of myself, pretending they didn't exist, trying to bury them so far underground until those parts had no choice other than to rise up with claws and aggression and force me to face them. And so I did. But what I've been trying to do is really learn to embrace all parts of myself, because if I love who I am today is made up of my light self and my shadow self. Both of them make me. I would not be here. I would not exist without those parts of me that I love and without those parts of me that I wish I didn't have. So I've been on this journey to really embrace all of me and love myself, because as much as this self-love term gets thrown around, I just think there's so much more to it. I don't think that's something I want to go into right now, but self-love is so much more than just, the massages and the facials. And I've talked about this before, and I'm sure I will talk about it again, but one big theme for me this trip was embracing every part of myself, the overwhelm, the anger, the annoyance, the wishing things were better, and treating myself with as much love as I could. And one of my biggest takeaways from this trip was I'm very stubborn. I dig my heels in. When there is something I don't want to do, nothing and nobody can make me do that thing. And I am defiant. I challenge authority. You may not know this from the way I come across. I hate people telling me what to do. And there has been a big part of me that has always looked at these traits as bad, as like, oh, Ashna, you're so aggressive. Oh, Ashna, why can't you bend more? Oh, Ashna, why do you dig your heels in so much? But during this trip, I was, I guess for lack of a better word, doing a bit of a meditation, connecting with God. Someone was leading this meditation, this facilitation of connecting us with God. And something that came through in this meditation, this healing, was God telling me that one of my greatest gifts is my defiance. One of my greatest gifts is my stubbornness. And that blew my freaking mind open, because this was this heaviness that I had carried in me for so many years. I feel like I had been made to feel like these parts of me were bad, and they were parts of me that needed to be stomped out. And this trip was the first time I started to shine this beautiful, like, rainbow light on these traits of mine. And it blew, like, my defiance is a gift. God gifted me with defiance. I mean, it makes so much sense, right? Okay, I'm someone who loves reading romantic novels. I love dystopian books, shows, movies, all that jazz. Um, And what do these books and movies teach us? Okay, I will also say, side note, I'm someone who feels very intuitively led to the books that I read, the movies that I watch, the shows that I watch. And I feel like I'm very much guided to these specific things because I learned so much from them. And something that I learned so much from these romantic novels or dystopian novels is defiance, questioning authority, questioning everything you've been told. These are such important qualities to have to bring about change, to bring about a better world, to overthrow like bad people in power. You need these qualities, you need these traits. And for so long I spent seeing my defiance, my need to, I'm not going to say be right, but my need to just like honor myself, honor what felt right to me at the expense of other people, at the expense of parents, teachers, I don't know, managers, leaders. But these very traits are what I read and I'm so impressed by, I'm so drawn to. Or when I see, in real life, all these like leaders and role models that I follow, nobody gets to where they get to by mindlessly listening to authority or what other people tell them or keeping their head down. People make change and create waves by questioning everything they've known, putting their shoulders back, raising their head up. And these traits of mine, these defiance, these questioning traits, I have those traits. And I spent so long thinking they were bad, thinking that they kept me from getting where I needed to go, when all along, it's what's been helping me get to where I am today. And where I am today is at a place saying that I am going to change the world. I know I'm going to change the world, but I need these traits, right? So that was a really big learning for me. And that kind of ties into what I mentioned before, being a cycle breaker. This weekend, the weekend that I spent with Abhishek's family, it was a religious weekend, and their religion, as with many religions, is full of like very dogmatic practices. Like there's right ways to doing things. You have to do things this way. If you don't, you're wrong. Um, and not just that, the Indian culture is also one that values a lot of subservience, respecting your elders, not really questioning elder authority. Not really, it doesn't really promote individualism. It's more about the collective, keeping the collective happy, doing what the family wants you to do. And you can see how these traits are very much at odds with what I mentioned before, my defiance, questioning authority, questioning the way things are. I'm someone who, as I've gotten older, have constantly asked why? Why? Why do you do this? Why do you do it this way? Why do you want me to do this? And I grew up in a culture that, for all of the beautiful things in the Indian culture, values the opposite of what I am and what I have in me. And there have been so many instances where my parents, my elders, people around me were like, just bend a little, just bend a little. That's okay. Like, it's okay to do things for other people sometimes. It's okay to ignore what you want to do. It's okay to ignore your intuition. So, this is a culture that very much values this type of stuff, values working together. And I have like some like funny little stories, or little stories, if not funny, that kind of like emphasize this. So, I was getting henna done. There's not a lot left, but there's a little bit of henna. And what henna does, it's kind of like a temporary tattoo type thing. It stains your skin, it's temporary. And so after this one event, because this whole weekend was literally full of religious prayers and events and things like that, my husband's aunt, both his aunts actually, were like, okay, like, Ashna, let's go get your henna done. Like, you want to do it, let's all do it together. So I'm sitting, and there's two henna ladies because they were each working on each hand. So I sit down with the henna ladies and I give one of them my one hand. And the other woman tries to take my right hand, and I'm like, "No, I only want one hand." And the henna lady is like shocked, and she's like, "What do you mean you only want one hand? Like, it's not going to look nice." And I was like, "Well, I only want one hand." And she's like, "But it's not going to look nice. Let me do it. Just let me do it." And she was a young girl. Like, I want to say like maybe max early 20s, like late teens, early 20s. Like, she was really young. And she's like, "Come on, let me do it. Let me do it." And I'm like, "No, I don't want you to do it. I only want one hand." And for me, it's like, when you get it on, it takes time to dry. I need it to nap. In India, I need to take my naps, or at least lay down if I'm not napping. And I'm like, it's going to be hard enough to do everything with one hand, right? Because this hand is basically out of commission when it's still wet. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And this poor girl looked so put out. And then Abhishek's aunts wander over and they're like, "Hey, Ashna, do both your hands." And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Okay, at least do the back of your hand." Because I was like, "No, I only want the front of my one hand." And she's like, "Okay, do the back." They're like, "Okay, at least do the back." And I'm like, "No." They're like, "At least get something small." And I'm like, "No." And both of their faces, like, they were like, I don't know how to explain it, like shocked. Like, "But Ashna, what do you mean? It looks pretty to get two hands. Everyone always gets two hands. How can you not get two hands? How can you not get the back of your hands done?" And I was kind of like, "No, no." And I was reaching the end of my patience because I'm like, I've been saying no for so long. I'm tired. I'm cranky. I need my nap. Let's just get this over with. And then my husband wanders over to kind of see what's going on. And one of his aunts is like, "Abhishek, tell Ashna to get both of her hands." And Abhishek is my husband. He's like, "No, what? Like, why do you want her to get both of her hands?" And his aunt goes, "Well, it looks pretty." And my husband goes, "But who does it look pretty to? Shouldn't Ashna find it pretty? Shouldn't the girl who's getting the henna done find it pretty?" And his aunt was speechless. Um, there was this other time I was talking to Abhishek's cousin. So his cousin is 27, a couple of years younger. She has this guy that she likes. And at some point, probably in the next like year or two, they're probably going to get married because he's moving. He's in the US right now. He's moving back to India. He's going to get his business set up, etc., etc. So I was just like, oh, like, are you looking forward to being married? Are you looking forward to being with him? And she's like, yeah, I am looking forward to being married, but and being with him, but there's some things about marriage I'm not looking forward to. And I was like, okay, give me an example. I just want to understand where you're coming from. And she says, well, there are certain expectations that are going to fall on me that I'm not excited about. And she goes, one such expectation is that if my in laws, I'm speaking as her, if my in laws are hosting an event, I'm expected to not go to work, to stay home from my work, to attend this event and like be a good daughter in law and be a host. And she's like, that's just what happens. This is just the way things are. And this girl, Abhishek's cousin, really smart. She got her undergrad, she's got her master's, she's working on her PhD. She wants to teach law to college students. And she was kind of like, but this is just what happens after you get married. These are the expectations that are on you. And two very different examples, but kind of along the same thread where I feel like, and even like in this whole religious weekend, I was witnessing people dogmatically, like doing these things, these rituals, these traditions. And I was almost noticing like a disassociation from what they're doing. But when you ask them, it's like, oh no, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Like, this is how you praise God. Like, by following these rules, God likes these rules. Like, this is how we show our affection for God, our love for God. And my mom also, not my mom, my grandmother also is very insistent with me. There are some Indian holidays where she's very insistent. She's like, you have to do this prayer. You have to do this specific prayer. You have to pray in your home. And when I've tried to explain to her, I call her Nani. That means grandmother. That means maternal grandmother. I'm like, Nani, but I talk to God. I pray to God every day. I have a relationship with God, and doing these prayers, doing these rituals doesn't mean much to me. That is not how I pray to God. That is not how I talk to God, but it like doesn't comprehend. As close as I am with my Nani, she doesn't understand that, even to her. And she's very modern with the times. But even to her, like I've heard so many stories of how she has, it's just as modern as she is, there's still all of this belief in ritual and tradition and carrying on the torch and passing on the torch and keeping things going. And it just really made me reflect on how proud I am to be the black sheep in the family. And what do I mean by that? I mean by on both sides, on my husband's side and on my side with my parents, I very much feel like I have been someone who has been questioning the way things are done and being the one who draws her lines and is like, no, I'm not doing that. Because something that I notice so much in the Indian culture and even culture in general is like, so many people rage against societal traditions and societal values. And they're like, oh, this is silly. Oh, this is dumb. Or they, maybe if they don't rage, it's like internally they know something's off. Yet they are the ones teaching their children, their grandchildren, great grandchildren, so on and so forth. They're the ones educating people in their community to do the very things that don't serve them and that they know don't serve them. Like when I think about my husband's cousin telling me like, well, if my in-laws are hosting an event, I have to not go to work to do it. Why? What? And I'm not blaming her. I'm not saying anything against her. I'm not saying anything against her in-laws, because it's not, we cannot blame the people. We cannot blame these traditions that are in place. We cannot blame my husband's aunt for being horrified that I didn't want to get both my hands hennaed when that's what everyone does. That's what everyone considers pretty. It's not their fault for being part of the system. But I think that there are a special few, and I don't even think we're a few anymore. I think there is a movement, there is energy gathering, there is momentum gathering in our current and future generations where people are waking up and noticing that the way things have been don't actually serve us. The way things have been don't actually work for us. If I had listened to the norms, societal norms of the Indian culture of my parents, I don't know if I've told you guys this. I think I have. My first job after college, I was, mind my language, I was fucking depressed. I was in a job that didn't serve me. My intuition was telling me, like, this was wrong, this is wrong. Everything, every cell in my body was telling me that this was wrong. I literally went through a period of months where I could not sleep. I was so anxious about going to work the next day. I kid you not, there were nights, maybe I got 30 minutes of sleep. I laid awake all freaking night, anxious, afraid. I was unhappy living at home. I was unhappy at my job. My boyfriend, current husband, then boyfriend, and I were having so many issues, but I was stuck. I tried talking to my parents. I remember going to my mom and just being like, I don't really like my job. Like, is this normal? And them just being like, well, like, it's a job. Like, it's normal. Like, you're not going to like your job. And that's not their fault because my mom also to this day is in a job that she doesn't love. That's wrong to say. It's not that she doesn't love it, but my point is, like, it's almost like she has been in a career that I don't think is the career her heart would have chosen, but she needed to do it. She needed to pay the bills. She needed to go out and get a job, and that's the advice that she gave me, that it's okay, stay in this job. I was miserable. And then I finally started the process of leaving my job. I started interviewing. I know I wanted to go into a startup. I know I wanted to move into operations. I'd been in financial services. And finally, I was started moving forward in this job where the pay was much lower. I mean, ultimately, I got the pay up, but it was almost half of what I had been making at my company. And I remember talking to my mom about this, and she was just so upset. And she was like, well, you can do whatever you want to do. It's your life. But basically, that's stupid. That's a stupid decision. And ultimately, I did take a job with that company, and I still took a $30,000 pay cut to the detriment or to the disappointment of my parents. But again, they were only acting out of what they knew. And what they knew is that money is what makes the world go round. You need money to survive. So they could not fathom me taking a job that was paying me 30,000 less than my current job for happiness. Because what is happiness? Moreover, I was super miserable living at home. So I took steps to move out, but I was too scared to tell my parents. And what happened is they found out from another family member, and they were very upset with me. They did not want me to move out in the first place. They thought I was wasting money. I moved out. And within a couple months, night and day, guys, night and day, new job, new apartment, living on my own, being independent, which is what I loved. I love being independent. I love not answering to people. And not that my parents were strict and controlling, but like them asking me, like, where are you going? When are you coming home? And we lived like a little farther from all my friends were. So it was always annoying because I had to commute, and a variety of reasons I was not happy. My relationship with my boyfriend ironed out over time. Like, so many issues that we had started ironing out because I was better, because I was filling my cup. My heart was feeling more full, so I could show up in my relationships more full. And my point with this is, if I had not started becoming or started exercising my cycle breaker traits, God knows when I would have quit that job. God knows when and if I ever would have moved out of the house. God knows if I ever would have made it to Austin, because I would still be chasing not just my parents' approval, but what they felt was right? The societal norms that they believe in, that they want their children to also be part of, because it's just, I mean, that's just what you do, right? And at the end of this trip, I have never been more proud of myself for questioning the way things are and for breaking the chains off me, because I would not be here. If I had not been the one to question the way things are done with my parents, with my husband's parents, with my extended family, with everyone around me, I would not be here changing the world. I would not be here working on changing the world. I would not have come this far. I would not be this independent. I would not be this happy. I would not be this aligned with my true self and my intuition if I hadn't worked on breaking the chains. And I want this to be an inspiration to anyone who's hesitant or scared of breaking the norm, of going against their parents, of going against their culture, their society, what their teachers tell them, what their managers tell them. You follow your intuition. It is so important that you connect with that voice inside of you, that you build a connection, a relationship with that voice inside of you, and you do what that voice inside of you tells you to do. We are all here. I believe every single one of us comes on this earth to change the world for the better. And we all come here blessed with our own gifts, our own unique abilities, our own unique skill sets. We are all here to use our gifts to shift the way things are, to awaken people, to help people. If we continue to stay in these cycles, in these ways of doing things, we're never going to be we're never even going to realize our potentials. We're never going to realize everything we can do. And being a cycle breaker, turning into the black sheep, it's freaking hard. It ruins relationships. It puts a strain on everything. Like there's so you will in following your inner voice, I guarantee your levels of self-doubt will soar. And it sounds counterintuitive, not counterintuitive. It sounds like two opposite things, right? How can you be following your intuition and feel self-doubt? Because, my friends, the path to discovering your gifts, the path to realizing how powerful you are, comes from obstacles, which means you will be put in situations where everyone will tell you you're wrong, and you will have to push, push, push until you break free of those chains. And there will come a time, it might take years, it might take months, it might take days, who knows, where you will sit there and be so proud of the chains that you whipped off your body. And you will start to look around and notice how many people don't even realize they're wearing chains, or how many people don't even realize the chains they're continuing to put on their children, on their friends, on their partners, on their loved ones. And it's not their fault. I want to stress it is not their fault. Being a cycle breaker means pushing past a lot of fear, rejection. I don't think I've shared my experiences in California yet. I probably will another time, or I might have in Shades. I know I've definitely talked about it in Shades. I literally, in staying true to myself and breaking cycles, I lost friends. I was disinvited from parties. I've been telling you guys last year, I went through this whole thing of being like, who are my friends? Who am I? I literally, these last couple of years, have stripped me bare, stripped me to the bone, and have built me back up again. Being a cycle breaker is not easy. It's not for the weak. And I don't mean weak in a bad way. I have had moments of weakness, but I have had to keep on digging real deep, real deep to find my strength and to keep pushing forward, because I know that not only do I want to change the world, but I want to raise children who are so connected to their intuition and their light and their knowing. I want to raise children. I want to raise future generations, not only my own children, but others. I want to be a role model. I want to help. I want to mentor young women. And I want them to know how powerful and how capable they are. And me doing the hard work is going to help me help others for the rest of my life. It's going to help me help others, who then go ahead and help others do the very same thing. This video is an ode to the cycle breakers. It's an ode to those people who keep trudging forward even when everything seems to be against them. I understand how difficult this path is, but it's also the most magical path. It's the most fulfilling path. It's the path that gets me so excited about everything I'm creating, and I know I'm going to keep on creating. I'm here today teaching embodiment classes. I'm here having launched my coaching platform. I'm here feeling like everything I didn't think was possible is attainable. I got coaching certifications a couple years ago. And I kept telling myself, Ashna, it's just for education. It's just for learning purposes. I don't want to work with people. It's hard to work with people. People don't listen. You know what the truth was? I didn't think I could be capable of changing people's lives. I didn't think I had it in me to be a coach. I didn't think anyone would ever want to learn from me. That was the truth. It wasn't that I didn't want to teach. It wasn't that I didn't want to be a coach. I did. I do. It's that I did not believe that I was capable of doing anything as big as changing the world. And changing the world doesn't have to be massive. It starts with changing people's lives. It starts with giving people resources that they need to change their lives. I recently had a friend who I gave her some resources a couple months ago, and she texted me and just saying, "Thank you so much for sharing everything you shared. It has changed my entire worldview." Changing the world doesn't have to happen with like massive waves or tsunamis. It can happen with a pebble in the water. Not that I think I'm going to be a pebble in the water. I'm going to change more. I'm going to have more of an effect than just ripples. I know that, but it starts somewhere, and I have started that. Well, thank you so much for listening and bearing with my voice and bearing with my coughing. I'm definitely on the up and up. And I feel like I have so much other stuff to share from my trip to India, but we'll see how it trickles out. I very much listen to my intuition when it comes to sharing these videos and sharing these learnings. But thank you so much for being here. Would love to hear from you if you are also a fellow cycle breaker. Um, or if you're thinking about it, or if it's something you're intrigued by, follow that poll. Um, Everybody thinks they're not going to be the one to make that change until they actually do. So let that be your inspiration. I believe in all of you. You are all here to do something so incredibly special to change the world. And I think it starts with awareness. That's the ground zero. Awareness. Noticing. Noticing what's wrong. Noticing what isn't wrong. Noticing what feels right, what doesn't feel right. That is the most simple thing, the most simple gift you can give yourself. And with that, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night, day, week, weekend, evening, covering all my bases here. Okay. Bye, everyone.